Where would you put it? Is this good? That kind of like, hey.
Here, look over there, and then we'll see. Yes, perfect. Okay, cool.
How long have you known how to use a camera?
Just today.
Is it running?
Yeah.
Hi. Okay.
Okay, so why did you decide to get into the sociology field? Like, what inspired you to work?
In a lot of research fields, especially like sociology, there's this term that we use, it's called me-search, and it refers to the fact that a lot of us end up doing research within our careers that helps us understand some facet of ourselves. So the research that we do is me-search in the sense that we need to understand something about ourselves. And that applies to me as well as a number of other colleagues in this department. When I was a college student, I was coming from a lower income background, and my parents hadn't graduated from college, and then I went to this very elite university, Northwestern University outside of Chicago. And I felt like a fish out of water, but I didn't really expect it at the time. I mean, at the time I sort of expected that I looked like everyone else, I could pass from middle to upper middle class, I knew a lot about culture and art and things like that, and I thought I would be fine. But I really started to see a lot of issues in society with regard to sex, race, and social class that were invisible to me even while growing up in a pretty privileged urban environment. And so I just couldn't shake the question of how did I get here? How did I get here as somebody who had grown up on welfare, whose parents didn't go to college, and it seemed like all of the people around me had very different backgrounds, and yet we were both in the same space. And that raised a lot of questions for me about how do institutions of education work? Who do they include and who do they exclude? And how does social class work? How much does the money aspect of social class matter versus what we call the cultural capital aspects of social class matter? How can we be sort of in the same group with other upper middle class people but not be of that group and navigate that boundary between being in the same space and having some things in common but not really pushing through to being fully a member of that group? And I give an example, like I went through sorority rush and I was just excluded and rejected in the most profound manner. So, and then after I was rejected from sororities, a lot of my friends were members of those same sororities. So it was really always an ongoing question for me that was sociological in nature, is how come I can be friends with these individuals, but I wasn't quite quote unquote good enough to be a member of their group officially. And that really stayed with me for a long time to figure out how does social class work, how does privilege work, and that's what brought me to this place where I am now being a sociologist. And that was in 1989 that I started college, in 1990 that I declared my major in sociology, so it's been 27 years that I've been exploring those questions.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. So you did all this before becoming a professor?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So that was my undergraduate major, and then I went to graduate school as well in sociology. So I've only ever been a sociologist.
Okay. And I understand that you're a published author. How many books do you have?
Yes, I have a lot that I'm quite proud of. So the first book that I published is called Inside the College Gates, How Class and Culture Matter in Higher Education. And that was really that opportunity to do that me-search component. College was really difficult for me, as I kind of alluded to, as I didn't feel like I fit in. And because of those experiences, I think I didn't thrive academically. I sort of thrived socially, but not necessarily more than beneath the surface. I think on the surface, I was having a lot of fun, but I wasn't happy. And when it came time to do my dissertation in sociology, I wanted to understand the degree to which my experiences were typical versus different from other students from my background. So I interviewed working class college students and upper middle class college students. I interviewed some students at a large state university and then at a small, more prestigious liberal arts college. And I wanted to compare how students in those different environments felt about the college environment in which they were attending. And a question that was very practical to me is, if you were a first generation college student or a lower income college student, would it be better for you to attend an elite private college or a large public university? And interestingly, the conclusion that I came to is that for a lot of first generation lower income students, it's actually the elite private college that offers them a better chance or a better opportunity. Even though sort of the psychological costs of being surrounded by other students of privilege were higher, they got pulled into more activities. They got more involved in things where at this large public university, working class students weren't getting involved in Greek life or internships or study abroad. They were just sort of lost in the mix. And since that book was published, I've also published a textbook on social inequality in society overall, and then another book on education, so a textbook on sociology of education. And I'm working on more. It's not going to stop.
Do you have an idea of when your next one's gonna come out?
So I'm working on an edited volume right now, but that's sort of a different type of project, which means I'm bringing together pieces that have been published elsewhere and binding them together. But my next project that I'm working on now, and I'm really fortunate to have 3 great research assistants here who are students at UNF, is about the town of Aspen, Colorado, which is an elite resort town. So you can kind of see one of my themes in my research is how do people navigate elite spaces that are characterized by tremendous inequality. The median home price in Aspen is $4 million. The median home price is $4 million. And yet it's a town that has a substantial middle class population of people who are teachers and ambulance drivers and firefighters and law enforcement and social workers. I mean, they have a real normal town. So how do people navigate life in a normal town when they look up on the side of the mountain and the side of the mountain has homes that are $20 million, $25 million, and plots of land that have nothing on them that are $10 million. So I'm very curious about how people who are middle class and how they are well educated and how do they push back against a town that's becoming extremely expensive for them to get a foothold in or to even buy underwear in, because in a town like this there is no underwear to buy and the houses are too expensive. So how and why do people do that? How do they make a bargain to live in such an expensive and unequal place? And how do they use their education and their personal resources as educated people to push the political system to respond to their needs? And that's something that's ongoing now, and I don't know when the book will be out. It will be years because these things take a long time. But my research assistants and I will be publishing articles in the next year.
So, what do you think is some of the greatest social issues affecting college students today? Because I know you talked about your experiences in college. What do you think affects college students now?
I think the biggest thing that I would mention is what we call the college for all mentality. And what I mean by that is that growing up in our society, there's so much emphasis and anxiety on social mobility that college attendance is seen as the one and only route towards a secure middle class future. And what that means is that within the high schools, you don't have a lot of counselors and teachers talking about options outside of college. So it's kind of college or bust, or the college for all mentality. And what you end up with then is some percentage of students who arrive on campus, a 4-year campus like this, or even a 2-year campus, who don't really want to be here, but they don't know what else there is for them. And then what you see is universities like this have a 6-year graduation rate of 58% or something like that. And we're seeing a lot of students leave. And then there's questions about, did the institution fail those students, or did the broader system fail those students in the sense that it didn't provide them with other options? I don't think as many people need to be in college at age 18 as are. And that's not a judgment on their intelligence. It's really a judgment on their personal development, as well as a judgment on the fact that our society hasn't articulated other paths for students to follow that could make them happy and that could be interesting. There's too much pressure, I think, on young people. And I think that's the biggest thing facing students today is the assumption that you have to go to college, even if you have no idea why or what you want to do with it.
I agree.
Yeah, that's major. We could talk about the affordability of college. We could talk about the issues just in general of the labor market transforming and people feeling really anxious about getting jobs. I think that's also a little bit problematic because we don't see as many students studying in the humanities and the social sciences, and that they're majoring in accounting, which is fine, or they're majoring in sport management, which is fine, but you get a lot of people majoring things that get them closer to a job, but don't necessarily enrich their intellectual imaginations as much as college has in the past. And I think I kind of miss that a little bit, is the sense that I don't know why I'm here, but I know that I have to get a job at the end of it, so I'm going to focus on this track, and then the sentiment becomes that a lot of these other classes are unnecessary for why I'm here. And that bums me out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
it?
you so much. Yep. Let me see how much footage I have. Oh, perfect. I have 10 minutes. I can definitely work with that.